Good morning and welcome here to the 9A Bowling Club, where we're into the finals day of the National Interclub Bowls 3-5 finals. The quarterfinals are just getting underway out in front of us here, and the quarterfinals that will line up this morning is the Stokes Valley Vipers versus the Stoke Thunder, Elmwood Park Saints versus the Manurewa Kites, the Gore Rams versus the Auckland side, the Auckland Originals, and the Takaro Tui up against the Nelson Spirit. And the Takaro Tui versus Nelson Spirit game, that's the game that we'll be covering live this morning. And of course, you can go watch this, go to the Bowls New Zealand website, and of course you'll be able to go to one of their various platforms and go straight to watching the live action. Also, of course, you can watch it on www.stuff.co.nz and also on skysportnext. All of the live coverage right throughout the day will be on those platforms. And sitting with me, my pleasure to have with me one of the legends of New Zealand broadcasting, John Macbeth. Welcome, John. Great to have you on board.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I was wondering who you were talking about there for a moment. I think this is an exciting day, isn't it? And even as we look at these two teams who are on now, this is great. Last night, our last game saw Takaro Tui in action, and that was a gripping match against Stoke Thunder when they were both wanting to win or not lose so that they didn't drop out of quarterfinals. But, Takaro Tui won it and are up here again. So late finish last night, first into it today.
Well, there was certainly those last round encounters. There was certainly some very tight matches to determine who made that last eight. And you and I just but a moment ago talking to Stephen Beale, I suppose the sorrow story of that being the Dobson Club from right down the West Coast Club membership at 12 and missing out on the quarterfinals by one shot.
Yeah. It's always interesting when you say we were talking to Steve Beale, because normally we just listen to him, eh? It's one of those situations. No.
Well, he had to talk to us.
Yeah, that's right. So we're looking here at these two teams. So Takaro Tui have the white discs on their bowls, and their leaders Steve Toms, who had a great battle last night with Selena Goddard. Sharon Sims at 2, of course, so recognisable there, standing with the bowl in her hand, ready, going through her normal routine, and that is not watching the opponent's bowl, thinking about hers. And the skipper's Mark Noble down the other end. And down this end, we can just see in shot there is Val Smith, who's the skip of Nelson Spirit. Charlie Egerton about to play, or soon will play his as a 2, and Murray Scott is their lead. So Nelson Spirit against Takaro Tui.
Well, two very, very experienced sides, John, with international, world champions.
Yeah.
A plethora of international caps between Sharon Sims and, of course, Val Smith. Murray Scott been playing around the Nelson scene for a number of years. Charlie Egerton just only but 2 weeks ago won the Nelson Champion Peers, playing with Joe Ebbridge's father.
Yep.
So Joe won the Champion Women's Peers, and Charlie and Joe's father won the Champion Men's Peers. And also, of course, Steve Toms, who's been around. Well, he's been playing in the Manawatu centre for a long time, of course, represented Manawatu. So the Takaro, which is sort like a new club now, isn't it? It's a reformed club, isn't it? The amalgamation, was it Northern and Takaro?
Yeah,
the Scotland home.
Absolutely. Gosh, yeah.
Has come together now, and now Takaro.
And of course, you haven't mentioned there Mark Noble, who's
skipping
the Tui team with all preparation soon for Birmingham as such an integral part of the New Zealand Parajacks. So we'll see plenty of action from it. I always like these action shots that go into programs, and there's one of Mark Noble.
The jumping one of Mark Noble.
He's jumping as high as he can, and always intense and always a thrill to watch, and a great icon of para sport in New Zealand, not just bowls
and chess.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
One of the very he's right up there in the chess fraternity in New Zealand, isn't he?
Yep. A man with a disability, you wouldn't really know the way he lives his life, and you'll watch here where he bowls off the wrong foot, as you would say, and but Mark would be the last person to say, give me a break, I've got a disability.
It's interesting. The other player, of course, who'll be playing with at Leamington on Spa, Graham Skillern, you could just about call them the dancing duo.
That's right.
So we've got Nelson holding the shots. And John, from watching this game, this bowl's 3-5, getting those early shots on the head, isn't it, makes such a vast difference, doesn't it, to the way how you play the head.
And all the players have found areas of difficulty with the rinks they've played on, and this being the televised rink, they've still found it difficult early in the mornings, just coming to grips with it. Now, you saw that run shot from Mark Noble, which was, fairly wide.
Unusual for him to be.
And Val Smith, well, you don't expect her to be a metre short. So they said it just takes a wee couple of ends, and you can't afford to drop big numbers early on.
No, well, it's interesting. Noble, we saw, ran with his first bowl, now been more conservative, trying to play with more draw weight. Doesn't want to move this bowl out, though, does he? Well, this is going to be interesting now. Definitely a couple there to the. It is two as we come to the end of the first end. Our marker, Michael Johnson, well-known umpire in the Wellington area, and the other marker we'll have here today is Steve Sargent, who I believe, John's member of your club in the Kapiti Coast,
that's
correct?
Right. Yes, he's a very valuable member there, and also on the Kapiti centre board. So he's looking forward to it. Loves his umpiring. Very organised man. Well,
I know sitting in Rotorua today, as I've been asked to pass this on, is past Bowls New Zealand president, one of the stalwarts of Gisborne East Coast, Martin Christensen. Many happy returns, Martin, and trust you're having a great day there in Rotorua to celebrate, to tick another year off.
Yes, yeah. Gee, he's given great service, hasn't he?
Oh, he certainly has.
Fantastic.
Certainly has. So, Steve Toms. It's interesting, this new surface, John, is that, as you rightly say, some of the players have sort of struggled, so to speak, early on in the game to get their distance or their guide right. But talking to Mandy Boyd, though, last night was very interesting, how she said she's felt that so many of the players where they played or had the jack placed at the shortest distance, they've compared to playing right at the back end of the green, people have been struggling to adjust their green for that distance. Yeah. And, of course, they're not getting the same finish, so to speak, because of the way how it's played. So it's really an adaptation thing more. It's not the green surf, it's more an adaptation. Yeah,
that's, people will often talk about how the green's playing and, oh, gosh, I'm struggling with this, but it's not the green's fault. It's, you've got to have the ability to work with it, don't you? And as I said, sometimes it takes a couple of ends. You'll find a side, last night in the last match, but with Takaro Tui and Stoke Thunder, I mean, Robbie Reid was playing the forehand going the same way as we're going now, and a couple of times he could see that he could nudge up an opposition bowl. But Shannon McElroy said, mate, you're playing this hand so well,
just stay there. Stay there. Yeah. Well, it's very much the same with Mandy Boyd yesterday, playing with Lance Pascoe and Kelvin Scott. Every time that the Elmwood Saints had the mat, they played the furthest most length, and Mandy Boyd just played one hand to hole right through.
Yeah. So, and we talked previously before this started about the games that people have been watching. Some of the heads have been quite spread, but with the quality of these bowlers here, you'd expect them to tighten up and be, really classy heads.
I think it's fair to say, John, that most of these matches are going to be played inside the circle. And as we were talking afterwards yesterday, and it's a learning experience. The jack's the circle, not the jack. The circle.
The circle is
The circle's the jack, and you play accordingly. So Sharon Sims now with the blue bowls, one of the real legends of Bowls New Zealand, world title holder, won all sorts of things. As Sharon Sims, and great to see her still more than competitive to watch this bowl just go by on the circle.
But she came to we got her to come to the club and coach some of our newer players, and she said exactly what you said. Basically, it's not the jack. If you're not on the jack, that's not a failed bowl. You get into the triangle, as she said.
Absolutely,
run a triangle out here, and if you're within a metre, then that's good bowling. So don't get depressed if you're not getting it right in there.
Well, no, the game is not about the jack. It's about beating the opponent's bowl and consistency. Yeah. That's really we sometimes it gets over complicated by You must be on top of the jack. So he's Charlie Egerton. Looks to be a reasonably good bowl if it gets on the inside of that. Oh, just missed the feather off the bowl. At the moment, we've got a tight Michael Johnson.
Here's a
measure. That's between the Murray Scott bowl and the Steve Toms bowl, the Jack Level bowl, and the one just in behind. So Sharon Sims will just try and adjust that weight and line fractionally. The other thing that was very noticeable on this surface, and we won't see it today, John, is that your delivery is imperative on this surface.
Oh, yeah.
You pay the price, and as Sharon Sims, as she made this adjustment, coming towards the circle now, is going to get another couple of rolls out of it. Is it going to get all the way into the circle? No, needed 2 more rolls, but was on a perfect track to get right into that centre line. And the old story, especially on this, if you tip your hand in or tip your hand out, or you get the bowl away with a dump or whatever, if you don't play to the line on this carpet, you'll pay the price
for it. Yes. So we see this situation here. There's that colour. Looking at the colours, as a red bowl and a purplish bowl. They're sitting pretty much in the same position, same distance from the jack.
I think
now,
coming back to what
look at this bowl of Phil's. I mean,
sorry, John.
Here.
Oh, what I was going to say is coming back to what you were. There was a woman yesterday. We got a photo of it playing. I can't remember. And the Birkenhead side, I think it was.
Yeah.
6 colours.
6 colours.
We got Stephen Beale and I got a photo of it, and it's 6 colours. But going back to what you said earlier, though, Val Smith may sort of prove me wrong here, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6 bowls. That's a Scott bowl that's been knocked into the hit. No, it's
a white bowl.
That's
isn't it?
Stephen Toms's bowl that got the. And there was, as we spoke about, John Hagan pay the price for just not having that line right. But if you look there at the circle, we've now got 6 or 7 bowls now just sitting there all in the circle, which shows the consistency, and also, of course, the calibre of these players. And Michael Johnson, here we are.
I've just been shown a photo of this. It is a rainbow bowl, there's no doubt about it. They should be banned.
Yeah, it was out there, played out here yesterday.
But I looked at, when I first saw Val Smith's bowl down before they started playing, I thought should put tape around it for some reason. Looks like it's bandaged up, doesn't it? That black and white thing.
Well, it's interesting. Brenda Van Nistelrooy and myself the other year in Australia, the Trans-Tasman Asia, I can't remember which one it was. We had Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff.
Oh, and yellow and green things of his.
And they sort of psychedelically just roll up and they never seem to stop. They just.
I reckon they're a health issue, though. For people watching, I'm sure that as people who suffer from epilepsy, I'm sure that it's a trigger for them.
Because boy, it's.
Watch now here. What
she knows
weight. She's given the shot away with her last. She's playing with weight. She's got a wick off her own, taken that out as well. So they're
it's
down by one.
One on a measure, really, isn't it? From what,
yeah.
And Michael Johnson clearly showing us that one shot to the Takaro Tuis, and as we knew before that bowler played, because the second one was a measure after Val Smith under green slightly and managed
what
to.
Are we watching here? Oh, there we go. So now these 2 bowls from Mark Noble might be the least impressive he's bowled throughout the weekend.
Absolutely.
It's been a long couple, 3 days of bowls. Starting, they're here, 8:30 in the morning. If they played that last game as Takaro Tui did last night, they wouldn't have been eating until 9:30 or something. So, but anyway, they get us. Couple out of that, did they?
Yeah, 2 it was, so that the measure bowl was in fact in favour of the Takaro Tui, so we're all locked up 2 apiece. So just for people who may be watching, and just to give you an idea of how these matches work, so they're 5-end sets, and of course the objective is to win ideally 2 sets, but if we're all locked up 1 set apiece, we then go to a 1-end tie break. Now also throughout the match, each team has the opportunity of calling a great opening bowl here from Steve Tom's toucher. So each side has got the opportunity to call the power play throughout the match, which shots that they score, in fact, doubles. And it becomes in the latter stages of these matches such an important part of it all. And the debate always been, of course, John, when do you best use it? And what we've seen, and might have been the same when you were commentating last night, is most of them are taking them in the back end of the second set. That seemed to be from end 3, 4 or 5 seemed to be when most of them are taking it. Brenda Van Nistelrooy's philosophy still is you take it on the very first end.
Well, we saw because different situations, like in the match between Takaro Tui and Stoke Thunder last night, where neither team wanted to lose, could afford to lose, they felt, because of the situation. We saw one team ahead by 2 and playing the last end of the first set. The opposition said, we'll take it now. Take it now, because we need to win the set.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and they didn't want to draw a set, so 2 was no good for them. But if they could double that and take the set, then, as it turned out, they finished 4-all in the first set. So it didn't work for them. But, yeah, different situations.
So some good opening bowls here from the 2 leads, Steve Toms and Murray Scott. Steve Toms bowl sitting right on top of the yellow jack, and just in behind that, the Murray Scott bowl. And again, for people there, that you'll see the Scott second bowl went up right over the head. And Val Smith, I'm sure the Nelson skip will not be concerned about that. Should be quite happy with that, having that back bowl of Murray Scott's down there, because it does leave the opportunity for Charlie Egerton to reach down there to the shot bowl, and a touch on the jack, of course, is advantageous to the Nelson side. So there's
Sharon's, Mark Noble's just said to Sharon, this is a situation where that second shot bowl is the second one with the black disc just over the bowl, over the jack. He said, you can play onto that because it's just past the jack. You can sit on it. You can get a slide in an edge.
And this comes to a good home right here, because it mixes those bowls up that we were just talking about, John. As we rightly thought, Charlie Egerton's going to endeavour to play under that short bowl, down to the Steve Toms counting bowl, get the movement onto the jack by a couple of feet back to where the Murray Scott bowl is sitting. So he'll play, Egerton will play down on his forehand. He'll make sure who reaches that to reach that head. So here is Charlie Egerton's first bowl on this, the third end. Just going to go past a bowl on the wide side. Certainly it was well weighted to play that shot, really, John, wasn't it? Just to reach through that shot bowl of the. And of course, playing that way is in no danger of losing their second shot as well.
Go for the tee in case we end up one down, mate.
So just had a quick update from the other quarterfinals we played across the rink behind us here. It's 3-0 after 2 ends. That's the Gore Rams over Auckland. Elmwood leading the Manuera side, and Stoke and the Stokes Valley Vipers are up over the Stoke Thunder. So all 3-0 after 2 ends in those other 3 quarterfinals. So here now is Sharon Sims, and it's one of those things, John. Yes, the idea is to try and sit on that Murray Scott bowl, but get into the back again, because it's obviously the weight of which the Nelson side are going to play that metre of weight, isn't it? But the good thing, if you're looking at those bowls there, they try and they're all on a good line to the jack, aren't they? Although their weight's through the head, but their line is into the, they're on the right side of the count, so to speak.
So here we are, just trying to unsettle that shot bowl.
Val Smith's keen on this, but not going to get cleanly under.
And she's not all that confident in how she's playing. Having had a chat to her, she said, I'm not quite nailing it. It's taking me too long to settle into the rinks. And you might have noticed in the previous end where her first bowl was narrow, but she was aware too that there is a little straightener on one of these ends, and if you hit that, you're right. And if you
correct, and with only 5 ends, you haven't got time. You haven't got much time to warm up. It's not like 21 ends or whatever. So you've got to be into it, and perhaps, and now with that bowl in front of the head, it may well force Val Smith to actually play with more weight, John, to be able to reach through that bowl. Mark Noble, he'll be wanting to get another bowl.
Yeah, well, he'll be trying. He had big wide for his, and he bowls really wide. He's got a good weight here. He's looking to sit on that second shot, make it 2. He's short, but that was a great green for him. So he's just struggled a wee bit with his weight early in the morning. But that's not a bad bowl.
I was just going to say, John, interested to know where that bowl has finished up of Mark Nobles. It makes that line now definitely different, doesn't it, for Val Smith to reach down to the shot bowl, whereas before it'd be fair to say that Val had a completely clear vision of that shot bowl. Not so the case now.
So if you're standing on the mat and you're Val Smith, you can't see that jack probably, or even though it's front of the shot bowl. That last bowl of Mark Noble's has just changed the perspective a little bit.
So here is Val Smith.
Oh, don't look at it, ladies and gentlemen. That you'll feel sick. Look at that black and white thing coming down.
Needs to be under the bowl clean.
Oh.
Well, it does give her another bowl. That gives the Nelson side another bowl on the head, John, doesn't it now? But
it's opened it up for it.
It has opened it up. It's moved that bowl of which we spoke about was sort of just covering that line up. But again, we're already seeing very quickly, though, that, well, I was just looking at that option that you just looked at on the monitor there and see what Mark Noble...
Well, let's look at what he tried to do, Kevin. He tried to sit on the second shot. Now that shot is quite difficult because of where Val Smith's bowl ended up. So we'll see what he does. I mean, he's got the shot. He just doesn't... He maybe look to just cover again because Val will play that same shot.
Well, correct. And of course, John, it's another end gone in the first set, isn't it? And if you hold on to the one, you're one in front. And you're right, he's staying out on, let's say, that...
Good bowl. This is a really good bowl from Noble. Gets in around that now. That really tightens it up. So
well, it's a one-shot result, isn't it? Now,
yeah.
if you get onto the bowl, it's a one-shot result.
You know, he almost drew a second, didn't he?
He did. Those bowls can make a long way, don't they? So, Val Smith now on the mat, playing that in Nelson, and will no doubt be off to Birmingham as part of that New Zealand side.
Get out of the road, Mark, would you? We can't see. It looked to be a bit wide as it left a
Yes,
hand.
it is. Just going by now. No, the jack moved.
Oh, she's moved it.
And it fell back over.
Okay.
I just saw Mark Noble give the eyes.
They're both laughing about that. It took you had to wait till the bowl settled before you knew who'd got the shot, and it's Takaro Tui who retained it. So that shot had stayed there all the way through. It's the first bowl of the end, and it stayed there as a shot right through. So Takaro Tui up now by 3-2.
Well, it had a couple of attempts, didn't it, to change, and Val Smith was slightly off target, but just had that weight to rest into the head. And interesting, John, that they're using what would say the shorter length of the spots here.
Mid-length.
Mid-length is the second one. It is the second one, and Steve Thompson, he goes over by a metre or a couple of metres, and this is where in this short format.
I said to him last night after that game against Stoke Thunder, where he was matched up against Selena Goddard, who's, just playing superbly at the moment, and I said, that was a good battle. He said, yeah, apart from the first three ends, he said, well, I couldn't get anything right. So he's had his three ends now, and he latched onto it a bit quicker in this game today. So 1 over, that's not bad in this sort of game when you've got skips who are likely to are accurate enough to move the jack around.
One would rather have them over than short, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because really, if you're playing short on this quicker format that we play, they really are ineffective bowls. I'm going to see this bowler, Steve Tom, just going to skirt low, just missed his line. Now here's a chance for...
So he changed his hand too, didn't he, I think? And that other bowl there is a good metre and a half short, is it? I'm not sure.
And they are different. They are different hands as well. We noticed that both the last 2 days. We noticed that. So the long-standing Nelson representative player, Murray Scott, trying to get that bowl now to move into the circle. That's the key thing, to move into the circle. Really, you could say, John, with Sharon Sims coming behind as number 2, perhaps Murray Scott didn't really take full advantage of that, like owning the jack, so to speak, after the first 2 bowls of Steve Toms went by. And Sharon Sims, of course, what more can we say about it? She's done everything as bowls New Zealand Hall of Fame, and looks to be on a fairly good line, this bowl. Just depends how far it comes back towards the centre line. And
well done here, buddy. Brilliant.
Move back towards it now and get inside that line. Well, that's the shot for sure.
Yeah. going to fall in eventually. I think that looks to be just teetering. But no matter what, it's the shot.
Interesting. Yesterday, John, I had Tom Tamati in here and telling me on the new indoor complex that's going to be built in Christchurch. Very interestingly. And in fact, it's going to be built where the old Woolston Workingmen's Club.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they've bought the actual, where the bowling club was at the Woolston Workingmen's Club. The Canterbury 2017 club have purchased that, and they're going to have a 2-green complex and an indoor complex being built there in Christchurch, which would be a great bonus for the city. So Sharon Sims trying to now really put the pressure onto the Nelson side with her second bowl. She's giving it the finger twitch.
She does that all the time.
Bit wider with this, over the head. That's not all bad. You're holding the shot. Because this game really, John, is about 1s and 2s, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about big numbers, really. You don't see many big numbers, do you?
Just about winning the end, isn't it? Just about winning the end. That's all you're worried about. And if you do drop as we've seen, the odd 5 and 6 dropped in some games, not a regular occurrence by any means, but that does tend to spell disaster. Even if it is early in the end.
So Charlie Giddens, I see, out of the hands, altered his line. He did have the right line, but missed that.
Now we've seen this previously going this way, Kevin, I think, haven't we?
Yes.
Where they're just struggling with that line. All those bowls are just outside the circle, and in general you'd say that's not bad, but you would expect with these players to get them a lot closer.
Absolutely.
So something's not. They're just struggling to adapt.
And the difficulty is as well, John, with those bowls is then when you go to play, how much work you're going to get out of your bowl. It won't worry Mark Noble because he's got that wider arc on his bowl, but if you've got a narrower arc on it, you'll see now the Noble bowl will start to work back towards the head, but it was more the weight. He'll finish up close, just outside the centre line. But so those 2 front bowls there just pose a bit of a challenge of trying to judge that line and weight correctly, because you can just get outside that front bowl and stay outside it.
So Takaro Tui holding shot. It's the blue bowl of Sharon Sims, just sitting on its edge. It looks to be about just slightly jack high, and there's plenty of space. I mean, it's such a tempting area for Val Smith.
Well,
but the confidence situation, guaranteeing you're going to get in is not.
Got a pretty good line here. It's going to depend on the weight. It's got the line to get past the bowl, not going to, and that's exactly just what we just spoke about, John. Yeah. More than likely head draw dead weight to the jack, but it's just that line. You need such a fine line to get round that bowl to get that last metre of work on the bowl.
So Noble had his weight perfect going the other way in that last end, but coming this way we saw him quite short initially, and he adjusted because he remembered that he was short with his 2 bowls coming this way on the previous end.
Well, we know he's going to get plenty of work out of his bowls, but he needs to get through the port to get into the counting area, not going to do so. I wonder whether Val Smith will look at playing across the head on the other hand with a bit of weight to try and get to that. Yeah, that's what they're looking at now, John, to change to change the sort of playing style, and now you'll see now change a hand from Val Smith, trying to play now on that backhand to play under the head to get what is the shot bowl, the Steve Toms bowl, or Sharon Sims bowl, sorry.
She hasn't played this hand, I don't think.
And that's what Smith's doing, trying to play through under the head to get to that counting bowl. Needs to move now, otherwise it's just going to timber. No, it doesn't. And to what?
Oh, gosh. Oh, look, sorry, Kevin, I interrupt you, but I was just looking at Val when she played that bowl and watched it all the way down, and she was frowning and grimacing, and she knew it wasn't right. So that tends to suggest that all these players are just struggling a wee bit. We look at the end result of that head there, nothing within the circles, and it'll be getting into their heads a wee bit. What do we do now? So playing that hand, we've got to be slightly It could be a bit heavier. And then like Mark Noble added a couple of metres on and it went over by a metre. So
it's fair to say
it's a workout for them,
it was
isn't
a scratchy one.
Yeah, it's a workout though. I love this. This is
Power
why
play.
bowls is not easy, is it?
Just been called.
Yep.
Power play. So the Nelson's Spirit calling the power play on this the last end of this, the first set, and of course if they score a 1, that ties the end up at 4 apiece as a drawn set. If they score 2, of course that gives them the set, and you know, this is the opportunity. I suppose we know we've been struggling a wee bit, so rightio, let's get into our work. And so Murray Scott trying to get close to the jack. Pretty good opening bowl from the Nelson lead. Just sits lower the jack, just touching the outside circle. Steve Toms went just on the outside of it. His Tom's very deliberate on the mat, on the forehand. And this is a different line, and this is what John and I were talking about just a few moments ago, that the difference of you try and adjust on that line, and you just becomes ineffective, doesn't it?
Absolutely. No, just take a look at Murray Scott and his delivery. You know, we chatted last night about Neville Scott, who's just sitting here watching at the moment, but the delivery, the flick of the wrist, the back lifters, you know, all...
It's the old Morgan Moffat flip.
Yeah. And I think Phil Scogden did that, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And as Val Smith said, I think it's a Scott trait. They all do it.
Yeah, it was... yeah, and short there. See, this change of hand, you know, notice there. And Murray Scott would be disappointed there. He'd been displaying to one hand.
I lip read what he said as he walked past.
Okay.
I think to say he was disappointed is an understatement.
Fair statement. Yeah. So Sharon Sims on the forehand with quite a bit of room. Remembering, of course, this is the power play being called by the Nelson side. Sharon Sims trying to get into the circle to score, and Mark Noble likes to look at this bowl as it just comes on towards the jack, and it get right inside the finished jack level. Does it fall in? I'm picking.
I think it's a shot. Would you say?
It is. It just Michael Johnson just indicated it is the one.
Just looking at what Nelson's Spirit did on the way to get here, they went through with 4 wins out of 4, and then lost their next 3, 2 of them on the tie break. So. You know, they were really running hot, but they were beaten by Stokes Valley Vipers, who finished up top of their group. Then the Birkenhead Stingers, and then the Coromandel Muscles. So tie breaks aren't their favourite part of the game.
To be fair, John, you know, they would have been ahead, well, obviously ahead on the board over both of those sides, beat them last night, besides the Stokes Valley Vipers. So they'd have been disappointed with that result of... Sharon Sims, the great thing about Sharon Sims, as John and I spoke about before, that she hasn't done it at this time, is that her concentration just never wavers. She just gets on, plays a bowl. She'll be disappointed that she dropped the line there. And again, it's what we've been talking about. If you just miss that line and wait by a fraction, you pay the price very, very quickly.
You could see she was just slapping a thigh there, and she'll remember that, though. That's
absolutely.
The old memory bank up there. What did I do that time? Going this way, that hand, all that sort of stuff. Oh, gosh. Okay, so looking at that, Takaro Tui hold the shot, and Nelson Spirit are playing the
power play.
So they need to score at least 1 to tie it, but preferably they need to score 2 to go ahead on this.
And there are other challenges on this particular head at this point in time. For Nelson, John, they've only really got 1 bowl on the head, which doesn't allow them to really get a big number. And, you know, Val Smith would be desperately wanting to draw a shot herself for her own confidence as well as we come to the end of the first set. And, you know, in this shortened format, there's not much room to try and make things right again, is there?
So Takaro Tui, that skip here is Mark Noble. They lost their first game on a tie break against Point Chevalier Pirates, who finished 3rd in their group. But then they went on and won their next 6 in a row, including their last match against the Shannon McElroy skipped Stoke Thunder.
So they come in with form, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do.
It's interesting. I see Mark Noble and Sharon Sims talking before they played this bowl, and they were certainly looking to trying to get down into the port. He's going to again run into that short stuff in front there, which is a metre lower the jack. Val Smith's really only got really one hand that she can play to try and.
How does she get 2 out of it? That's,
well, correct. That's the point. To get the victory, there's only one for a draw, as we rightly said. So down goes the head, which we know Val Smith.
Look at her face.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, doesn't like it.
It's coming back. It's coming back. It's coming back. Is it going to sit? Is it going to sit? Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
That's one.
That's 2.
2. It is 2. Yeah. So now Mark Noble.
That's a big ball.
Who hasn't played the other hand at all. I don't think. I think he's tended to play
You're
the
right, John.
right-hand side as you look at it.
I don't think he has it all. And of course, with his big drawing bowl, he has to come around literally that Murray Scott bowl way out in the front. Does that cause a bit of timbering? Not sure.
And his last bowl made it even wider for him to get round on the left-hand side as we look at it. So
now we also know, by the way, sorry, John, we also know that if Mark Noble was quite capable of playing what we call some non-conventional shots.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that they're that well placed over the head, are they?
Well, they've got a blue bowl sort of behind, but not really. It'll be interesting to see. I think to try and draw down with a wee bit of weight. It's a matter of what the angle is you can see from the far end, the mat end, I suppose, really. That's the...
Okay, let's have a look and see what he comes up with. Stepping back and taking a deep breath.
Number
Looks
38.
Looks different down the mat end. This is a vital bowl. His last in the first set. Leading by 4-2, but 2 down on the head with the opposition using the power play.
I think some weight's coming.
Shot, missed it. He missed it well by a fraction.
Well, you might have heard Mark Noble then as he ran through the head, ran through the green, both, which is what he was looking at. And well, there's the first set.
Yep.
I thought he had it, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think, and the two of them are wandering back, chatting away, grinning, but I don't even know if is Val going to play her last. No, she's not. No, she hasn't. It's gone. So that's the first set, absolutely. And from a position of almost being hopeless, they decided to use the power play on the last end. They got the necessary 2 and have gone on to take the first set.
Well, here we go on the other quarterfinals, John, and here's which might be seen as a surprise here. The Gore Rams up against the Auckland Originals, and the first set went to a 5-all draw. Gore Rams, of course, came into these quarterfinals as the favourites, and they've drawn their first set against the Auckland Originals by 5-1. The Elmwood side, that's the Lance Pascoe skip side, they've defeated the Manuera Kites by 5-1. Now, here's the one, Stokes Valley Vipers up against Stoke from Nelson, and the first set going to the Vipers 10-0.
Wow. Do you know if anyone played the Joker on that? Okay, so Manuera used theirs, but not in the Vipers Stoke Thunder game. So
the Rams Auckland game has come down to a 1-set match.
Yeah.
And Stoke, they've got a lot of work to do, and so do the Manuera Kites. But that 10-0, that's a big number, isn't it?
So that certainly is. But well, it's not a big number unless you're playing against Stoke Thunder, eh? When you're playing against them, you'd hardly expect to win. But the Vipers, of course, have such a strong team with Seamus Curtin, Finbar McGuigan and Nicole Toomey, all nationally recognised. But that Thunder team with Robbie Reid and Shannon McElroy, of course, there, and that's absolutely brilliant. And Selena Goddard off the front. Wow.
Well, that top end of the draw, of course, you've got Stokes Valley Vipers and Elmwood both at that top of the draw as well. So, Murray Scott here, what a way to open that second set, John. One right on top and one just in behind. So here now Stephen Toms down on the head. Trying to get to the shot bowl, trying to get to the jack as Toms just goes by. was only centimetres away, was the Takaro lead from just getting that touch on the jack. The Murray Scott bowl sitting literally jack level, right on top of the jack, and his other bowl just lower the jack. But the great thing about that front bowl of Scott's, of course, John, is it's sitting right on that centre line, which just makes that vision that much tighter to the jack, doesn't it?
Well, see that hand, not that easy, obviously.
I was quite surprised he actually played that hand, I thought, because he could have scored on the other hand and behind the head. Well, that was very good use of the power play then, wasn't it, by Nelson?
Perfect. You know, interestingly, we talked about it earlier, using it on the last end if you're desperate to win that. So just, you know, watch Sharon Sims on the mat. Here's the deep breath.
The deep breath, head up. Nothing moves.
No.
And she's really disappointed with that, as we know, because it's decidedly narrow. But the reason is, of course, why is he trying to force because of that front bowl and that short bowl.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's a difficult draw out there on that hand. If I go out too wide, it's not likely going to come back. And you can't play with weight because of where that front bowl's positioned, that line in front of the jack. So it actually is a good head for Nelson at this point in time, as we see the Charlie Egerton going right to the back. In case, I don't think he meant to go there, but of course it does protect things for them.
Let's just watch the correction that Sims makes. You know, she's played under the
deep breath,
white-hot pressure of Commonwealth Games and World Championships. And this won't be phasing her, although every bowl is important now. So she's gone wider.
Absolutely.
Now she's just got to bring it in underneath that bowl, and
there becomes the challenge.
No,
just saw it move there.
Yeah.
About 8 feet out.
Yeah.
Just saw that slight movement which held the bowl on that outer line, didn't it? It was. I'm not saying it was going to get to the jack, but it was certainly, you could see there at that finish of the bowl that there is definitely.
That's tricky.
It is
very tricky. So when you see a quarterfinal with the calibre of the players we've got here, and it's spread like that, that shows it. It's a little bit of, you know, this is knockout. We want to be there.
Well, it's also important after losing the first set. Certainly they've got the power play up their sleeve, have the Takaro side, but getting that good start, scoring on the first end is always a help, because you then decide the length that you want to play for the next end. And this bowler, again, this is going to be under the line, John. You'll see this bowler.
Just tell me, Kevin, why haven't Takaro Tui been playing the other hand and resting on the shot? I mean, and they've got white bowls at the back.
To be fair, John, I just think that you play. If you talk about percentage shots, I agree with you. To me, the percentage shot is where that, because you've got to play a very, very tight line.
Yeah, and they're struggling with that. But it's shot and jack as targets, aren't they? And but overweighted, jack takes it back to the white spotted bowls behind. I'm sure on the left-hand side now as Mark Noble looks at it. Let's see what he does.
He's playing just what we said.
Oh, right. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Just looks a better percentage shot, John, doesn't it? To sit on that shot bowl and trying to get the jack.
Yeah.
Sharon Sims is keen on this bowl as it comes down towards the jack. Has it got the weight? The jack it does.
There.
Perfectly played.
It's only one, but it's one, and that's all you need. Yeah, just seemed to be the shot that, as a novice, I would say, well, that's an easier shot, particularly, I suppose, when Sharon was struggling on the other hand.
Well, there was two factors to that shot selection, in my view, John. Was one, that there's a kind of draw on that hand.
Yeah.
And secondly, you had a target bowl to play to.
Yes, yeah.
Other hand, you just had a bare jack to really trying to get to. So your sort of judgment line, and you watch a replay of this bowl now we saw it, but your margin of error is just changes so significantly, and it's a big shot from.
But she can now play the same shot, I think,
absolutely,
on that hand, can't she? So Val, and gee, what's going through her mind? She struggled really from her standard.
So is it going to come back from there?
I'd be surprised.
Had the weight to reach the shot bowl, and it finished in a really good spot. You'd have been happy with that weight if you were to the shot bowl, wouldn't it? Because you would have got to the bowl. Only one rolled out of one of the two bowls, but well played by Mark Noble.
Do you think he'll change his hand now? And
well, that's the thing, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, because he certainly doesn't want to touch that Murray Scott bowl sitting low at the jack, does he? Because that wouldn't work for them. And what might work in Mark Noble's favour here, though, John, is he does have a wider drawing bowl, so he might get more finish out of his bowl at the finish than what we saw with the others. But we also saw that if you do cut your green slightly on this particular hand, it's just going to be an ineffective bowl.
so holding the shot's a big advantage here, of course. Him playing his last, he's worked out what Val Smith is trying to do, so I wonder if we might just see a bit of tactic here. And oh, he has changed his hand. That's good. Yeah. And if he goes slightly under, he could sit on her second shot.
There it
That's
goes
what
now.
He's looking for. Yeah. And he might just it's going to. Oh, that's made it difficult.
Just the one I saw
yeah.
Sharon Sims very quickly indicate.
Of course,
Just the one.
Yep. Well, that was
What I'm interested in.
tactical head, wasn't
Well,
it?
what I was interested in here, this particular end, was I just thought that they might have lengthened the jack right to that deeper spot, which, noticing some of the matches yesterday, there was certainly a more generous draw.
Yeah. Well, to be fair too, I think, talking with Val yesterday, she said they really struggled a bit with that centre spot. I'm not sure if they were talking about this particular rink.
Well, Steve Toms hasn't.
No. So he probably dictates it to a fair bit and says, look, I'm comfortable with that.
Well,
I can get them in there.
Correct. And as you rightly said before, John, this 5-end format, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Now that
It's
how often
it's a Leeds game, isn't it?
Well, how often have we seen that first bowl of a lead get close to the jack or sit on top of the jack, and when we kick the bowls away at the end of the head, that's still the shot. That's still the shot bowl. And Murray Scott trying to get down to the jack, but that's a good reply over the head, and you'll see it sitting. The two bowls sitting within 18 inches literally of the jack. So two good bowls, lead bowls from these two players. And just to recap on the other three quarterfinals from our last update, in the Gore Rams versus the Auckland Originals, first set tied up, it was a draw, 5 apiece. In the second one, the Elmwood Park side from Christchurch, Canterbury, they defeated the Manura Kites 5-1. And the Stokes Valley Vipers up against the Stoke Thunder. Well, it was the Stokes Valley Vipers, the local side, who won that first set by 10-0. And in this match here, of course, we saw the Nelson Spirit. They ran out the winners over the Takaro Tui by 6-4. And we're playing now the second end of
Good-looking ball coming
5.
in here too. Sorry, mate. Go through the hole.
Oh, well
no.
played.
Yeah. And I think Steve Toms, he was really disappointed with his second bowl. You can see it way up to the right there, out to your right now.
Yes,
short. And that's, that's sort of about where Mark Noble will be.
That's the
if he has to
draw line.
draw. Yeah.
Yes,
and he really needed to be over. So he kicked himself. Look at him. He's even looking at it now.
He doesn't like it, does he?
No, it's awful.
Sharon Sims nap on the backhand with that great bowl of Murray Scott's, just nestling onto the jack and moving it slightly off the Steve Tom's bowl.
She's played this hand nicely today. I think that backhand going this direction.
It's a generous hand.
Yeah.
Well, although it's through the head and weighted, Sharon Sims won't mind that. She knows she's played directly to the centre line. So that's a plus if Mark Noble attacks and the jack goes back. And if Sharon adjusts her weight by about a metre with her second bowl, could well be nested in amongst those counting bowls, because she certainly had the right draw line to do so. And I'm picking the backers where the Nelson side would want to go here. No sense right now in putting more on the head.
So that's where Charlie Egerton puts it. Just sort of matching, really. Sims' bowl.
Yeah, well now Mark Noble's saying let's get another one close. And then that's laying the cards that he's going to attack the head, really, one would think, isn't he?
Yeah. This bowl's there for Sims to rest on too if she's just finds that up slightly.
3 bowls there to sit on.
Yeah.
She's changed. How's far is it coming back, John? Is it going to come back enough?
Well, she's scratching her head as if to say, I thought I'd done it.
Well,
Made the
this
adjustment.
well, that was online. You know,
Yeah.
another 2 feet of weight, and that would have literally been in amongst those two bowls, wouldn't it? It was not far away at all.
So Val Smith on one end, and Sharon Sims at the other. And it's not that long ago I was watching a tremendous battle between New Zealand and Australia in a pairs match, and that was the New Zealand combination. And gosh, some of the shots played and the calls made were just brilliant.
Oh, that's a brilliant tactic from
Gee.
Charlie Egan. Moved the jack around, taking that shot away.
Yeah.
That was a great call by Val Smith. I've got a back bowl. She said, right, let's see if we can turn things through the head, take the trail away. Noble checking on the back bowl to see who's got the backer. So really that's saying, I've got a pretty good idea what shot he's going to play.
Well, the only disadvantage, I think, possibly with that shot was that it opened it up a wee bit more.
It did, and I'm sure from well, here's the replay of this bowl now. Egerton, you'll see, rests on the pole, moves the jack around to the outer circle, and you're quite right, John. Noble can see that jack through that port down through there, just in front of the Steve Toms bowl down to the yellow jack. He can certainly see it.
Stepping up now with a glint in his eye. He's been down there finger measuring who's got the backest bowl or the closest to the 2 metre as well.
If your back percentages, there's a good chance that we'll see some bowls moved around the head by Noble.
He has a go.
And he's off target.
Got took one out.
One out. But also, as well, got one of the back bowls as well. And of course,
yes.
it's left the Murray Scott bowl as the deepest bowl on the rink.
So you have a look here. You've got the 2 shot bowls are black circles. Nelson Spirit, they hold the shot. The 1 bowl in the centre of that circle is Takaro Tui. Now, if Noble plays another shot, you see what's down the back. So Takaro Tui have got his first one, which is way up to the right, but it's not quite as enticing now for Noble if he wants to have another go. So
well,
now
two
see the tactic
bowls
from Spirit.
So 2 bowls now for Val Smith. She's really got the chance, hasn't she, with room on the draw to really put pressure for this last bowl of Mark Noble's. And it's playing down to these 2 bowls. Just needs to work in towards the circle now. This Val Smith bowl, how's the weight's going to be? Needs to sit inside it, going to do so. And one would think we'll see what Michael Johnson has to say, whether that counts or not. I'd favour it to count, and it doesn't. It's 2. So what does Mark Noble do here, John? Because if he gets his own bowl now, he's definitely 1 more down, and Val Smith's got another bowl left. It's 4.
They've still got their power play, haven't they? I suppose he's thinking of that, but they still don't want to drop.
He's still
Drop
looking.
a number.
He's doing the finger measure, still back on that Val Smith bowl as well to see where that one is. But that Michael Johnson indicated it was just the 2. But I see, Mark Noble just trying to make sure of that situation.
The danger, of course, is Smith's got the opportunity to take out that 1 point bowl that's there, hasn't she? With her last.
Well,
or beat
depending.
it. Beat it. Yeah.
Beat it.
So there's a 4, attempting 4 there for Nelson Spirit. Mark Noble, in this situation, short game, drawing second shot.
Yeah, well, one would think after you've lost the first set, one would think so, because you don't want to open the door ajar. Sure, you've got the power play, as you rightly said, but if I am slightly off target and I get my own bowl, I'm opening the door for a very easy 4.
And when I'm not trusting this rink. Hey, all sorts of things to consider. Right.
But we do know that this guy's quite capable of playing any sort of shot.
Absolutely. So he's made his mind up.
On the backhand.
Yep, draw shot.
And yeah, the second shot option is really what Noble is looking at. He's got the ball out. How far is it going to come back for the Takaro side? Moving back now. Needs to get inside, not outside. Gets inside. And by goodness, that may have been a big saving bowl. I'll see, but it's still 2. Michael Johnson going to indicate to us that it still is 2, and it is 2. And really, John, it's still quite safe for Val Smith with her last bowl to draw in there for 3, isn't it? There's no opponent's bowl that she can promote into the head. So it is a great chance. And really, she was only a bowl away from being in a perfect count the last time. So just on that same line again on the backhand.
You'd be fairly confident in saying there's no danger. But we've said that before.
Yeah,
so here we are.
On the backhand. It's definitely in a different line. This looks to be in a good counting line. This, John, as it's coming down now, just needs to sit and stop and will do. Yes, it will. Well played by the international.
Yeah, I just took my headphones off. It yelled out, "Are you smiling?" And she grinned. She was. She knew that was in the target zone. So 3, very good 3 for Nelson Spirit, who won the first set 6-4. So 3 to the Spirit. They're up by 3-1. And here's this last bowl, just coming in beautifully. The weight was perfect. She just needed maybe even just a little sit there. Getting a shoulder wouldn't have hurt her at all, but she played it superbly. So,
absolutely drew right to the jack, wasn't it? And perhaps that's just the confidence that Val Smith needs, as you rightly said. She was just struggling a wee bit before on confidence. This is just going to give her the confidence now that she needs. And
just had lunch provided, which is made up of gum snakes, aeroplane lollies, and licorice with a few pineapple chunks thrown in.
Yeah, with some fruit things. Yeah, right. I noticed Tamara's got it well away from her this morning because. Thank you, thank you very much, and of course, thank you to Tamara, Colin, Erin, and Emma, who are the
production team.
They're the production team. They're the brains behind bringing this coverage. Do a magnificent job. And, Bowls New Zealand now have certainly invested heavily in what I would call pretty state-of-the-art technology to bring this live action of so many events around the country.
Well, I remember Tamara, I'm sure, when she first started and we were in Dunedin at the Nationals, and you interviewed me about something, and Tamara was there with one cell phone basically, recording it and getting it up online somewhere, but things have certainly changed.
We had some cell phones and cords.
Yeah. So Steve Toms, wow, this is quite an important bowl for him.
Very much so. The last 2 ends he struggled.
Yeah. He's played that side of the rink, going both ways.
Does it move just...
Yeah, it's hung there. Look at that. That's straight.
Just there.
Absolutely straight.
You can see the ball, even at the finish, it's still moving around.
And it's quite difficult, a big decision for a lead sometimes to change their hand, but you would say on this,
to me,
change your hand, mate, have another go, have a go down here. But, I mean, he's so experienced, he knows the drill, and he backed himself on getting inside that, changing his line, but Sharon's now looking at it and saying, well, I've seen what's happened to his bowl.
Well, the struggle becomes, John, as well, about delivering effective bowls. So here's an update from the 3 other quarterfinals, and as we said, the Gore Rams up against the Auckland Originals. Well, it was a tied-up first set, 5-all draw, but the Gore Rams have found their form in the second set. 3 ends of the 5 gone, and it's the Gore Rams who are leading the Auckland Originals by 10-0. In fact, Elmwood, who won their first set against Manurewa by 5-1. Well, it's now Manurewa after 2 ends of the 5 who are leading 2-1. And in the Vipers game, remembering that the Stokes Valley Vipers won the first set over the Stoke Thunder 10-0. Well, in the second set, it's the Stoke Thunder after 2 ends, leading 2-0. And here in our feature quarter-final, we have got the Nelson Spirit up against the Takaro Tui, and the Nelson side winning the first set 6-4, and now leading 3-1 in the second set after 2 ends as we play the third set now. And I noticed just when I was talking there, John, we saw the change of hand from Sharon Sims and also from Charlie Egerton. Now they've both gone to that.
And Sharon was really narrow, and
this looks a pretty good bowl here from Egerton, just coming in now, a rest around the Murray Scott bowl. That's a good bowl, right? It's sitting right on the ring. And because now, for Takaro, they've got to get some effective bowls on the head.
Yeah.
So there's a big bowl for Sharon Sims here.
Yep, sitting the shot. She was about a metre short. She was very narrow.
She's widened it up here, though, John, hasn't she? Has it?
I don't think so. She might just use her own, but she hasn't got the weight to do much for that.
So, does Val Smith now change her hand and come out as a cover position of these? There's 2 bowls of Steve Toms. There's Sharon Sims' bowl over there. Difficult to get the jack there. And, of course, the Toms bowl right at the rear of the deep on the rink as well. Although that's Charlie Egerton's bowl, isn't it? So, does cover?
Yeah. Oh, well, she might just want to
put the pressure
on. Yeah.
And staying on the scoring side.
Yeah.
So playing the forehand where the
and
scoring
she'll be more
shots.
Confident. Yeah, she's more confident with the forehand anyway. Get up there, she's got resting bowls. She can see that it's difficult for the opposition to get numbers out of it. Mind you,
narrow, but it might finish up in a good spot. If it gets down to these bowls down here, these Takaro bowls, not going to quite do so, but so that indicates as well, John, that line to the jack's pretty narrow down there, isn't it? Just in front of that Murray Scott bowl, it is quite a tight line down to the jack. So the Nelson side, bit of confidence.
Mark Noble played this hand well last time, before where the forehand shot is going down his right, as you look at it here, and he did sit on that shot bowl previously. So see what he does with this.
Just wonder if he plays with a wee bit of just a yard through weight, just to make sure the bowl holds up on that on that line, because we saw with draw weight it will still disappear. So here is Noble now on the forehand, endeavouring to, just trying to reach up to the.
Well, he sees that everyone else, bar 2, have been short,
And of course we know that he's got a far wider draw. Is it going to get to the second shot bowl and turn it? No, it's not. But finishes in a very good stand. You see Val Smith straight away on getting down the back here, because that's in a very good spot. That bowl of Noble's. Any jack movement is certainly very favourable to the Takaro side.
Yep, if the jack goes across to the right as we view it there, was
a triangle of bowls there, isn't it? Going to the forehand, though.
Yeah, I think, that's where she'll be able to cover those, I think, around there. She's got her own, she's not going to do any damage, you would say.
No. And is out on that wider side.
Yeah.
So that's...
She played that last time, too, so she's got that on the... There you go, that's not bad, is it?
Well, they're watching this bowl here. Is it going to get all the way down into the circle? Good and bad.
Yeah. Good that it gives them another shot, but bad that Mark Noble will be looking at it in a different view now.
Well, the issue here for Mark Noble is he's 3 down, he's 3-1 down on the board, holds those 6. Sure, he's got a power play up his sleeve.
Yeah, he can.
So this bowl becomes pretty important, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
He's got to reduce or get the shot.
Absolutely. He reduced last time, but here he can reduce because there's jack there, red bowl, the last bowl that went down to rest on. Or if he's going to be aggressive, he can get 2 of those at least, can't he? And
deep conversation the Nelson side at the end of the rink. Very deep conversation. So
we'll soon tell by his stance what he's going to do.
Yeah, we'll know.
Surely it'll be
we'll know when that toe goes on the mat, whether what weight's going to be played.
Draw.
On the forehand.
Seeking the shot, I would say. Looking to punch that
He's on a
shot
pretty
out.
good line for his bowl. He's on a good bowl for his line. Is it going to hold up long enough to the bowl or get the jack? Well, look at that. Applause.
Great shot.
Absolutely superb. Three down.
That was, then you applaud those shots no matter which team you're backing, and people just recognise that under pressure, 3 down, the rest of his team hadn't been able to manage it, even get the line, and he gets in with a superb last bowl. That's why they pay Skips big money.
So I can tell you one of the semi-finalists has been found, and that's the Gore Ram side. It's the Caleb Hope, Craig Merrilees and Claire Hendra side. They have defeated Auckland, the Auckland Originals in the second set after drawing the first set 5 apiece, running out the winners 10-0. So the Rams are through to the semi-final, and now we wait, of course, the results of the Manurewa side, the Manurewa Kites versus Elmwood Park, where Elmwood won the first set, and as our last set was 2-1 to Manurewa after 2 ends of the second set. And the Vipers, that's the Stoke Valley Vipers up against the Stoke Thunder, and it was the Vipers winning the first set, in fact, by 10-0, and it was the Stoke Thunder leading in the second set 2-0, and we'll bring you the update of that as it comes through. And in this feature match now, the feature match that it's 3-2.
So they're not using their power play here, are they? I don't think.
Holding it to No.
Well, I mean, the whole complexion of the game has changed with that last shot by Mark Noble. The score could well have been 4-3, 5, no, 6-1.
It's going to be 6-1.
See it. Yeah.
So he was in a real dilemma with that shot, and what a remarkable bowl that he played. It doesn't matter which side I'm sure you're supporting. You see a bowl like that, dead draw, 3 down, centimetres to draw the shot, and straight away we see the confidence that gives Steve Toms his lead. He's drawn one very handy with his first. Murray Scott now, who's been quite outstanding the last few ends. He's certainly given the Nelson Spirit great start.
Interesting, Tom stayed with that hand, so he's all the way while he was watching all those other bowls come down. It would be in his mind, what he did on this last end. He drew quite a good shot, and then he was dreadfully short with his second.
Correct.
So now he's at least said, I can't afford to be short again. I've got to get in there. So
interesting as well, John, that the Takaro side get the mat and they go to the deepest circle on the...
Yeah, that's changed.
So that's changed. So they might be thinking, rightio, let's try and, jiggle things up a wee bit after that. Just magnificent bowl from, I'm not going to say a match-saving bowl. Yeah, here's Tom's now again coming in towards the circle. Going to sit right in the inner circle. That's a wonderful bowl. Just rolls over, falls over, and right in behind the jack.
He's back.
He's back all right. All of a sudden, a couple of bowls and the whole dimension of the game can turn around. Murray Scott will be trying to beat just his last bowl. And it's going to be outside the bowl, but will be over the head, which is fine. Sharon Sims now, former international player, on the mat. Well, certainly as well, big lift of confidence after that second bowl of Mark Nobles on the third end, turning 3 down after dropping a 3 on the second end, and then being 3 down with the last bowl in his hand and drawing a touch-up. Sims going to be short.
And she's changed her hand, had to change her hand really, I suppose, but she wasn't playing that other hand too badly, and I just wondered what the danger was here. It was a shot that's a metre short.
I'm surprised there, because it leaves the opportunity now to reach through for the Charlie Egerton, the Nelson Spirit number 2, on his backhand, to reach through with weight to try and get to that shot bowl. Going to be outside both of the Murray Scott bowls, and will go deep to the back of the rink. Still sits up just outside the number, and is certainly the deepest bowl on the rink from where we can see here. It's sitting, I'm not going to say on the lip of the green, but just by the number, so very, very deep on the green if the jack is attacked. So Sharon Sims will certainly be wanting to improve her line and weight on her first bowl. And
needs a free run, I think.
she's going to clear her own bowl.
And our
She is, and now it will draw towards a circle. Look at this, John. Look at this. Not quite. It was on a perfect line, wasn't it? Breaking towards the jack.
I think they've got 3 shots, though, haven't they?
Well, I think they're going to see Egerton try and reach through onto the jack here. That's sort of like what I heard from Val Smith. So bring your line in a wee bit and try and get down. And he has brought that line in. Just looked out of the hand as though he'd done so. Val Smith, though, no, it's wide outside. They're going to stay up on the rink, but as indicated by Michael Johnson, it was 2.
In the ditch.
I think it was 2 that Michael Johnson indicated.
Yes.
That it's 2.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Takaro haven't used the power play.
So we're
So it reverses
they're
a
hoping
bit.
Takaro are hoping this goes to a tie break.
Correct, yeah.
So
It is 3, just indicated there, but got the white lollipops up. So now, a big bowl for Val Smith.
So just recapping on this, in the previous set, it was Takaro leading 4-2 going into the final end, the 5th and final end, and Spirit played their joker power play, and they picked up a couple to take that by 6-4. That was the only time, apart from the first end, that they've been in front.
Quick, eh?
So just covering that back area.
Mark Noble will be happy with that, having that bowl deep down on the green, still the 3. So what weight is Val Smith going to play here to get to the jack? Is he going to draw? Can't see much sense in that because it was falling short. So I think trying to
Jack and go with it.
Correct, jack and go with it. So here we go. Here's some updates. So Elmwood have defeated the Manuera Kites. So that is Elmwood through to the semi-final, and they'll meet the Gore along with the Gore Rams. And in the Stokes Valley Vipers versus Stoke Thunder, it was the Stoke Thunder who came from behind after losing the first set 10-0. They have won the second set, and that's now going to a tiebreaker. So we know we've got the semi-finals. Elmwood Park Saints are through to the semi-final, and at the bottom end of the draw, the Gore Rams are through to the semi-final as well.
Looking to make it 4, or at least get in the road, get into Val Smith's eye. Is that what he's just trying to do here?
Oh, that's a hard bowl.
He's played it right on the centre line.
It's a hard bowl now to decide what weight you're going to play with. We saw Val really struggle with the first, thinking deeply about this one, getting to the mat. There's the long-standing New Zealand representative, former world champion, on a backhand. No, she's 3 down. How's the line on this bowl?
Oh,
how's the line on this
Mark
bowl?
Noble. Coming Mark Noble.
And that is...
She did hit this. Look at that. Noble put that block in there, and Val Smith just couldn't quite get round it. And that will be a 3-2 Takaro, who surely will play their...
Must play the power play now.
You would think, but they not necessarily.
3 it is. And we're just checking on Takaro. Is there a power play being played?
Don't know yet. They're talking about it.
Having a conference.
Yep.
There's the Takaro side. Well, you've got it there. You may as well use it. You're leading.
Take it out of reach. Yep, they are.
They are.
Thumb up. So, or, in fact, was he just saying thumb up to where Val had placed the jack in the middle centre line, centre spot?
Well, I'm just trying to get some confirmation. They had the chat. Here's...
No, they're not.
So, Steve Toms with his first. Again, John, you're so right. Staying with that.
Yeah.
What I'd call challenging hand.
That's a better bowl from him, though.
And yes, it is. Just outside the circle. Now, this is where Scott, and of course, what the advantage now for the Thunder is, although it's a big call, they've only got to score 2, and they tie the set, and they've won the first set. And Scott draws a toucher and sits them behind.
He's made it difficult for them.
So, great opening bowl there from the Nelson Spirit lead.
Up here now.
Well, he's all the stuff that he was doing previously, throwing it out wide and
Up
not
lots.
getting here. He's changed his line, sitting right on the centre line there, but it was just that weight situation. So
Well, Murray Scott here now really wants to capitalise on this and literally own the circle, I suppose. And if he owns the circle, well, this is second bowl on the 15, or last bowl of this. See just how far is it going to come back? He got out a wee bit wider.
over though, I think, isn't
Val Smith's looking at it. How far is it coming back?
Here, draw me shot, says.
it? All right.
Set. Yeah. So Sharon Sims knows he wants to draw the shot here, and it's interesting. Sims going to wear what I would say the drawing hand, as we saw that last time with Mark Noble as well.
Then you've got to see how she adapts, because last time both her balls were narrow.
They
cut across
were.
the centre line. They were, for her,
And
pretty ordinary bowls.
and one could say good weight, adjustment's not that far away, and you see Val Smith indicating we've got a metre. So Charlie Egerton going to what John and I both feel is the kinder drawing hand out of the forehand, playing away from the road here at this wonderful 9A complex. Yeah, this looks a pretty good.
Oh, look at that.
See that move around.
So
That looked to
So
be on a good line, didn't
you
it?
would say it's not the kind of...
No.
one's as bad as... one's as difficult as the other, I should say.
Because that certainly moved, didn't it? That was. So Sharon Sims now one down on the head, and it's adjusted.
She
to,
used that line last time, and look, that's... So she made a fine adjustment.
but get Steve Toms.
Oh, yep.
Get Steve Toms.
Oh, well,
Get Steve Toms.
but again, that was a... She made the slight adjustment, and it was, you would say, that was narrow, although it ended up with a good result.
So still the shot. Are we seeing weight here from Egerton to try and... No, we're not. Trying to get to that second shot, because wanting to get two. Trying to get it to come back. It's a good attempt. It's a good attempt. But it sits on the Sims bowl. That's a good attempt. Holding one. Remembering, of course, the draw. Should the Nelson side score a 2 on this end, a draw or whatever, it's enough for them.
Yes, yep.
So just quickly to remind everyone that the Gore Rams have won their quarter-final over the Auckland Originals. The Elmwood Park side have defeated the Manuera Kites. The Vipers versus the Stoke Valley Vipers versus Stoke Thunder. They're in fact playing the tie-break right now, set a piece, and just I think it's just come to a close here. The crowd over there applauding. That's the game between the Stokes Valley Vipers and Stoke Thunder. It's a good innovation this day, John. And so are they calling the...
About fifth end, and they haven't...
I
no, they must have surely played there.
must have been played earlier and we didn't get it. Must have. But we've been right with the scoreboard all along. So,
Yeah.
So Mark Noble here, knowing that he still holds the win, but I still would want. I'm picking. He'd want to get another bowl on the head, but he's gone very, very wide out there. But we do know that the Noble bowl does draw a long way. He's chasing this one. How's the weight? Sharon Sims is interested in it as well. Not going to get there. Does it beat the blue bowl behind? No, it won't. So I'm picking Val Smith's going to try and face that second shot bowl, try and face it out of the head to hold 2. Hard shot for the Nelson Spirit skip.
Are we going to see Mark Noble faced with another match saver?
That's under the lines. He's playing with the weight that Smith that needed to do to play with weight to get to dislodge what is that second shot bowl. So the Takaro Tui side. They know exactly what shot that Val Smith's going to attempt to play with her last.
So what have they got behind there? Takaro Tui with the...
It's a Sharon Sims
They've
bowl.
got- yes, that's over.
That's over the head.
And there's one out to the side of Steve Toms, although I don't think that's over there.
And hope.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
One
there's
over,
one
yeah.
there over
Yeah.
there, back, right at the back there that there isn't. But from a percentage point of view, the weight, who knows where things are going to go, but the weight that Val Smith played, that's the sort of weight that you want to be playing to make sure you're going to get to that bowl. Whether Jack squirts or doesn't squirt, who knows?
Well, we saw him play a superb block on the last end.
He certainly did, didn't he?
So we know that that's an option with Mark Noble. It's a one of the most difficult shots, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's it.
But not to him. Okay, so he's not going to go at it. He's going to pull up short. Or is he?
So he wanted to get a bowl in between that front bowl and the jack. That was what he... Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, Mark Noble, look at this.
There's 3 touches there, I think.
Don't come much better than that, does it? Now, 2 match winning, match saving. What would you like to come in this way on the last 2 ends, John, with his last bowl?
Yeah.
That takes some doing.
Might just see this again in a moment because it was just one of those. It was an extremely difficult shot on a green that's playing true. He'd probably say, "I can do this easily," but look,
So
had to avoid his own.
Just comes in, just touches the jack, moves into that triangle of touches.
And Sharon Sims goes over just marks the toucher, which you do with the white pin she's got. It's got to go, he says. So that's
Gotta
Murray
go.
Scott saying.
And what happens after that, who knows?
Yeah.
What a magnificent bowl from Mark Noble. By goodness, that was just dead draw. And to judge that weight, John, to that point is, boy.
I can see the 3 Takaro players standing there, and all they're doing now is holding their breath. And they've done all they can, really, in this. And now it's up to this final bowl from Val Smith.
We're going to a tiebreaker.
She's playing with weight. She's looking to smash this group, and she's going to miss it. She does miss it, and so we are going to a tiebreaker, no matter what, whether it was a 1-2
Or
Nelson
none.
Spirit or not, or
Mightn't be anybody.
mightn't be. You know, that I don't think any umpire, Michael Johnson's looking there saying, I don't want
I
to
don't want
measure
to
this.
go near this.
Oh.
So
So it doesn't matter if it's a single, but if it's a... No, they're just looking at it saying, don't want anything to do with it. Oh. Can't decide it. They've decided. So Michael Johnson, or is he going to be asked to measure? No.
So
split. Yep, split that. So
we'll take it as
set goes
5-3.
Set goes to the Tui, and we go to a tiebreaker.
Well, I marked
Tied
down.
end, he says.
I marked down here on my card, John, that the third end of the second set. That was the end coming up this way when Mark Noble was 3 down.
Yep.
Remember, they dropped a 3 on the second end. 3 down, coming back up this way, draws a toucher with his bowl to
Yep.
save the situation. Coming back up that way again. Again, same thing.
I think if Takaro go on to win this, the drinks will be on the rest of the team.
Because he's certainly been outstanding with those big pressure bowls. And now there's Murray Scott, the 1 end tie break on the backhand, and Nelson Spirit lead playing to the second circle. Just not gonna just make this outer circle. No, he doesn't. Goes by about a metre, but that's okay. That's this is where that front toucher becomes.
And Toms, who looked to have enjoyed the longer end last time.
How long is it going to hold up? That's the thing, John, isn't it?
Gosh, that's not bad, is it?
Will stay inside the Murray Scott bowl, so that's, although it's not in the circle, it's certainly shot. So Scott again now will go to his favoured backhand, knowing that if he draws inside that last bowl of Steve Toms, that in fact would give him shot. Remembering that the Gore Rams and Elmwood Park are through to the semi-finals. And he's got to be disappointed with that, with Scott finishing 1.5 meters short and finishing right on the centre line. So here's the chance now for Stephen Toms to literally ice the jack and make it a very challenging position for the Nelson side.
Oh, he's taken quite a bit more green on this.
It's coming back now. Mark Noble's looking at it, but it won't have the weight to get all the way down. Right, Charlie Egerton, here's your chance. No, here's a chance to draw right on top of the jack. There's 1 metre to draw the shot, John, isn't there? Really?
Yep.
So here is this bowl of Egerton's. Well, how's this line as it comes down towards Jack? This looks pretty good.
They're both crouching.
This looks pretty good. Is it going to get all the way down? Yes, it will. Inside the circle. That's the shot.
Still probably got that, Seth. I think more chance of scoring this
Good
hand.
bowl under pressure there, John.
Still got room to get one in there.
So
Just
Sharon's
follow it down,
trying to
like you
follow
said,
that.
yep.
Her backhand, she'll follow that line down to Charlie Egerton's, drew in front of the jack for shot. Remember, it's a one-end tie break. There's no second chances, one end. Of course, there's no kills either. Even if the jack is put outside the bounds, it goes on the 2 metre mark, so there's no second chances. Here's the Sharon Sims bowl now. Just looks to carry 1 metre of weight through the head, but will sit on the bowl. It's Tom's bowl.
Second shot.
And, you know, Charlie Egerton here, his role really is to beat the... And I can tell you that the Stokes Valley Vipers, that's the Seamus Curtin skip side, have defeated the Stoke Thunder in the tie break. Here's another good bowl coming in here from Egerton. Doesn't want to finish jack level. That's the last thing he wants to do and give a shoulder. He would have liked another roll out of that bowl, John, to get just... look, it's a magnificent bowl. It counts, don't get me wrong. But I'm sure he'd have liked to have had another roll on the bowl to be behind the jack. So now Simmons on the backhand.
So what you're really saying here is that now Sims has got 2 targets as the jack and that last bowl. She can use the shoulder of that.
Well, if it sits on the inside of that last bowl, that'll be shot.
Yeah.
And that's what the opportunity has created. Oh, and how's this line now? How's this line? Going for the jack is Sims. Going for the jack and misses. Just how did it go through that hole? That looked to have the middle of the jack all the way, John, didn't it?
Yep, or, you know, as we talked, getting the shoulder of that last bowl from Egerton would have done it.
Well, the really good thing, though, for the Takaro side, that bowler Sharon Sims, now where it's situated, suits Mark Noble right down to the ground because it's a natural jack pull of the jack down through there, directly to that Sharon Sims bowl. So I'm picking now Val Smith will be endeavouring to try and get really fairly deep down to where that bowl is.
Well, you know, and yes, but she'll be in 2 minds too, I suppose. They're holding the shot, but they know what Mark Noble's capable of, and he could simply draw that, and she might just say, no, I'm going to do a Noble and get on his road.
Well, I know it's Steve Beale would say, who just sit alongside us, play the same hand and try and move the jack around the corner and take the shot away, and he agrees, and that's what can happen here. If Val Smith is fortunate enough to get to the jack herself and moves it around the corner, it takes that shot away. It's on that line coming down towards the outside bowl, and it'll go through and sit. Well,
so it's still there, eh?
Still there.
So the key bowl in all of this, I think, is that one just to the right of the jack. That
well, we do know that Martin Noble won't be short.
No.
But, so through to the semi-finals, we've got already the Gore Rams are through. Elmwood Park from Christchurch, Canterbury, they're also through. And the Stokes Valley Vipers, the local side who just defeated the Stoke Thunder, they're the other 3rd semi-finalist. And we await now these last couple of bowls of this game between the Takaro side and Nelson Spirit as we play this tiebreaker.
Mark Noble has played some outstanding pressure bowls in this game.
He certainly has. Ends 3 and 5, especially in this set. Here's Noble now on that backhand. He's on that arc. He's got that big arc he takes with his bowl. Sharon Sims is looking at this. How's this? How's this? Is it going to get there? That's not what he wanted. Well, he wanted the shot, certainly, but he didn't want to tip that bowl over.
Just, yeah, gosh.
Didn't want to tip it over. Lost his. There, he just indicating to us there.
Yeah.
That was it. Only centimetres. And of course, the jack vision's gone.
So what's...
Steve, I agree with you entirely, Steve, that to me, if you look out on the rink there now, John, and look at the line there, and that's that Sharon Sims bowl which sits deep.
Can't quite
down.
see the Sharon Sims bowl at the
As
moment.
we go deep on now, you can see it there now. I see it on one of the monitors here. You can see there's that Sharon Sims bowl that's back. We'll just swoop the camera around, and there it is.
Just
that
in
Sharon
front
Sims
of
bowl.
Mark's feet, not that far back, but that's the bowl now which Noble
And remembering, of
will
course,
come into play, perhaps.
and Val Smith's got no more bowls after this. So, to me, I agree with Stephen sitting alongside us that going to that hand to get down deeper on the rink, down towards that
That's what
Sharon
she's
Sims
doing.
bowl.
Changed her hand. She hasn't played this forehand much today.
All concentration. Knows she's got to stay away from the head, but she will stay right away from the head and get down deep, which she is going to do. Get down towards the Sharon Sims bowl. How far is it going to go? That's where she wanted to get to, down in that vicinity. Who knows what weight that Mark Noble is going to...
This is what we were chatting about last night quite deeply with Morris Symes, Kevin, when we were saying, Skip's job is not just to call, a shot which is going to benefit them. It's to be in the heads of the opposition. Now, what would I do in this situation? And so Val Smith has said, I know what shot Mark is there for Mark Noble. It's only that one. He could try and draw it, but a good option is to hit that shot bowl, take the jack back too. So I'm going to cover that. So it's that,
and the other thing,
tactics.
the other thing that Val Smith has done, there's two factors of what that Val Smith bowl, because she also owns the spot. So if the bowl got killed, Jack had come back to the 2 metre mark, and that I'm looking from where I'm looking. That is just confirmed me from Steve Beale. That bowl of Val Smith's would be the shot, and on any contact on it as well. It's well, when you look at that angle now on the camera, John, looking on the screen, it's a hard angle to get to. With that front bowl as well, it's a hard angle to get to. But this guy, if there's a guy that can play the shot, which can't be played, this guy can play it. He's certainly.
I played for the half and fall onto that for one.
Yeah.
He's also looking at, and you see him flick his hand, that if he gets the left-hand edge of that shot bowl, we'll let go. Are they in a position over the head?
Well, there's
looking at options here. Wow, God, good luck, Mark.
The Sharon Sims bowl is the deciding bowl for them.
We might just...
We'll just let Noble play it.
Yeah, let's let him play it, see what happens. Crunch bowl, last bowl of this tie-break, of this quarter-final between Takaro and Nelson. Look at him.
I've got to be close here.
Look at his reaction. Look at
Hold,
his
hold,
reaction.
hold, hold,
Look
hold,
at this.
hold up.
Look at this. Oh, what a
Oh,
shot.
yes, sirree.
What a bowl! What we said. What perfectly controlled weight to play through the counting bowl to move the jack back. Now that was just three magnificent bowls that we saw from Mark Noble on end 3 and end 5 when he kept them in the match, and then that bowl that he just played then when it looked as though the Nelson Spirit had literally had it locked away, and we just saw that perfectly weighted bowl of Mark Noble to play down onto the front of the shot bowl and move the jack back to the Sharon Sims bowl, which was the bowl that John and I spoke about, and that jack just moved back there. So John, you don't get a much tighter finish than that, do you?
No,
What a bowl!
No.
Mark Noble walking over towards us now and bowing to Noble with that three magnificent bowls in that second set. And what can I say? And it puts the Takaro Tui through to the semi-final. And the semi-finals, all the finalists now been found, and we'll have the Stokes Valley Vipers up against the Elmwood Saints. By goodness, John, that'll be a magnificent semi-final. That Stokes Valley Vipers versus the Elmwood Park Saints side, and the Gore Rams up against the Takaro Tui, the giant killer, I'd say, the Mark Noble giant-killing Takaro Tui side. And, well, John, what a great way to start these quarterfinals with that absolutely outstanding match.
If you're watching bowls and thinking, I'm not ready to take up bowls because it's slow and boring, how could I get interested in bowls? Well, you've just seen a prime example of how tense it can be, the mental pressure that's on it, the skill factor. I mean, everything was there. And, we've seen one of the most outstanding performances at this tournament from Mark Noble as a skip. And his team will be saying, sorry, we couldn't help you more, mate, but thank you very much.
Well,
the drinks are not on Mark Noble.
Well, when you look at it, John, as we said, in 3, in 5, and the tie-break end, he was down on each one of those ends, and with his last bowl on each one of those 3 ends, drew within centimetres of the jack. So well done, Mark Noble. And John Macbeth and myself will be back shortly with you, and we'll be bringing you the live semi-final. I'm not sure yet which... Sorry, we're going to be bringing you what I think the real big match, the Stokes Valley Vipers of Wellington up against the Stokes Valley side of Seamus Curtin, Finbar McGuigan and Nicole Toomey up against the Elmwood Park side of Park Saints side of Kelvin Scott, Mandy Boyd and Lance Pascoe. And that's the semi-final that John Macbeth and myself will be bringing you shortly from the National Bowls Interclub Final, National Bowls 5 Interclub Finals here at the 9A Bowling Complex. So we'll be back shortly for the live semi-final.